wanted to ask you about Call Me Bad, because we just
Okay.
recently spoken to Brian Abrams, and he's, I wasn't aware of a lot of his backstory after leaving the group and some of his addictions with alcohol and things like that. But I wanted just to go back to them as a group because they are three sort of white guys and a black guy, and they had
Well,
this.
I thought they were Hispanic. Like, aren't
Oh,
like two like
maybe one was
I
Hispanic
know
and
Ryan, I think is Mexican Irish. I don't know. But yeah, I
yeah,
technically,
but
you
when
know,
for me, it's, I'm thinking about, okay, here I am looking at this group and seeing
visually on sight.
three white guys and this black
Pretty
guy,
much. So that's what
and
everybody else thinks.
yeah, seeing it, that's how it came across. Now maybe one of them is Hispanic stuff, but it's just like three white guys singing hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed the fact that they could dance, and and I wondered, were they were they like a precursor to Boys to Men with their vocal harmonies, but then they also had a bit of sort of, because they did say they were inspired by Troop and Audition with the whole dancing, but they tried to combine the two. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as I said, they came out with "I Want to Sex You Up," which was a massive global hit.
It
Which,
was.
but then also Mia Moore, they had other things. But what was your, if you reflect back on Call Me Bad, visually and sonically?
You know, when I saw them when I first heard the song, I Want to Sex You Up, I just loved it immediately. Like I was wow, I like the style of this. It's weird. It's not as weird, but it just was something I never heard before. It's kind of like Night and Day when I heard Night and Day from Albie Sure. I'm like, never heard nothing like this. This is different. I like it. So yeah, I love that sound. The guy sounds so soulful and everything. And then I actually saw like the visual images and I think the video or something. And I'm like, wait a
Mm.
minute. They're like, okay, they're not black. What's going on? So it was really weird, but I was accepting of it. Like it was kind of cool in a way because I had never seen anything like that. I was so used to, because I in my mind for whatever reasons I didn't think anybody else liked our music but us, and we did our music, and at that time I wasn't listening to Tina Marie, I wasn't listening to those kind of artists. So at that
Mm.
time, this was my first introduction. This and Lisa Stanfield were my first introduction to other people from other races singing black music or what was considered to be black music. So
Mm.
it was really interesting, and I kind of dug it. I was like, this is different, and I like it, and I like their vocals because they were clearly talented. It wasn't like
Yeah.
you know some kind of manufactured fake thing. And I seen them a couple of performances, and I'm like, oh, they are the real thing. They can actually sing live and everything. And then I
Yeah.
remember seeing them. I believe it was either on, I think it was the Soul Train Awards. They had performed on the Soul Train Awards. They came out, and I remember vividly that they got booed. They got booed from the audience, and I
Wow.
remember asking my parents, like, why are they booing them? And they was like, some people don't accept other people singing our kind of music. They don't feel like they should be singing our music. And I said, so they're gonna boo them? That's kind of rude. So I could just imagine being on the other spectrum. I don't think we always think about the other side of it, where people, they just simply love the music
Mm.
and they are talented and they're gifted and they just want to be accepted. And so, that one thing is something I really was curious to know about them, is how did they deal with that resistance from the Black community, singing our kind of what we consider our music. And but besides that, the music was really good. um, you know, All for Love, I love that song. Mia Moore, I love those songs. I mean, even the Time and Chance, when they kind of went different on their third album, I really liked their music. And
Mm.
they were one of those groups I always constantly look to see, what were they doing? Because I think they did a lot of things that were ahead of their time before other groups. I'm not saying, they're, were doing this better than anyone else, but I'm just saying I saw a lot of elements they were adding to their music that was before its time.
Mm.
So, especially in the third album, I think they took a lot of risks on that third album. And they had like funk and different inspiration from other things that I don't think people were ready for at that time. But In hindsight, like I said, I wasn't really privy to any of the, internal issues. They just kind of disappeared. So we didn't really quite know. There has been a few, news stories come out about some conflicts or some issues within the group, but I've never really paid attention to them. So I'll be watching this, interview along with everyone else, learning what happened, because I've always wanted to know what happened. They were so talented as a collective. I know two of the members are songwriters now, like they've
Okay.
written for other people. Um, so it'll be interesting to find out what the current status is, what's going on. But what's really important is what's going on with everyone personally. Like I know you said Brian's had some issues, so to see where he's at.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
did you
as I
guys get
said,
into any of that in the interview, as far as like the acceptance with the black music thing, or did he talk
yeah,
about that at all?
yeah, from the point of view, and from the point of view is from the point of view that they said, because they were managed by Kool and the Gang, which
Yeah,
is which is
I
which
didn't
is
even know
crazy.
that either.
Well,
Yeah.
then for Roberto Alchemist said, yeah, they even Kool and the Gang even discovered the Fugees, but they were managed by them. They went on tour with, say, Jodeci, and some of the R. They were going on tour with a lot of the R&B groups, so they were accepted among their peers. So, and they were in awe of them. So they didn't seem as if they felt, but they had. He tells the story about Aaron Hall taking them to the premiere of New Jack City because they couldn't drive; they were all too young.
Oh, they were
Yeah,
that young in the
they
industry.
were
Wow. Okay.
and they didn't have license. I think you had to be 21. I think 20. Oh, no, they could drink, but yeah, they didn't have that stuff. But I think the thing is that they were in awe of the artists,
Yeah. When
and
you're
they
that
were
young,
humble. So
yeah.
they how it comes across is that they didn't think that, oh yeah, no, we're white, we can do stuff, and this is pre John B. So they had to.
Right.
And they had Michael Bolton. So you think about those late 90s, George Michael Bolton. You had McDonald. So you had people who were accepted, Hall and Oates, who could sing the kind of R&B, and they were accepted. They were like New Jack Swing, especially with that first single.
Right.
But they said their first tour was with BBD, so, and they all were accepted by them because they just how they were as human beings and stuff. But
Well, what helped them too, they did have that one black member. So it was
yeah,
somebody that
yeah,
kind of grounded them. So
yeah.
we all was like, well, there's one brother in there. So we can kind of,
There's one
give him
brother
a
there.
chance.
But no,
Yeah.
to have a big global hit, and they could sing, because what happens when I do these interviews, I then have to start looking for old footage to sort of,
Mhm.
as a package, so that here's this interview, then like, remember this, and when I went back and started to see them on MTV and BET, and Arsenio, and seeing that they were really singing, I was like, "Wow,
Mhm.
actually, my goodness, they weren't,
Yeah.
and they were harmonizing like,
Right.
say, As Yet or Boys to Men.
Right.
But then they didn't leave the dancing like Boys to Men, unfortunately, after and I think we forget the Boys to Men came out dancing. It's just that they
Yeah.
were said, look, we make more money if you guys just sing, walk around with the shirts loose on the beach and make, with end of the road kind of image. That's where you can. So they stopped learning. They stopped their dancing stuff. So, um, yeah. So as I said, it's these are bands, groups that we kind of forget that
Yeah.
we
That's what I want to hit up.
celebrated. Yeah, we
That's what I want to hit up
celebrated.
on, because Color Me Bad has been kind of, I don't want to say forgotten, but it
Mm,
feels like that. And I think, and they had significant success. Their first two albums were successful. They were
yeah,
platinum
yeah,
successes, and they had some number one hits. So
yeah.
it's like, and like I said with Brian, I think another thing that got him over too is that he really could sing. Like he had a very good
Mm,
singing voice, and the way he sang on those songs, it just made it work.
mm,
And I think that like I said, it's good to kind of be reminded of, there were other groups, because like some groups, like they still kind of stay in the public eye. We still kind of see New Edition. We still kind of see Boys to Men, But then there are other groups we never see, like Shy and Color Me Bad and All for
Well,
One. And
yeah, but actually, during the interview, I think the
Mhm.
lead singer of All for One was calling him. Because
Oh, really? Okay.
I
Yeah.
mentioned like, oh, I mentioned that, oh yeah, I remember back in the day you guys were similar to All for One and Troop and stuff. And then he says this guy must have Tony, because he was calling during the interview. And he
Oh,
had to
okay.
tell him,
Yeah.
yeah. And but Shy are around. I think one of the members of one of the former lead singers of Rift is moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, and Shy are
Mhm.
based in the West Coast. So he sings with them. So there's two original members of
Oh,
Shy, and then
them
two.
guys get around. They were first filling in Benevision, and now they're filling
Yeah,
in
but then
Shy.
if you ever listen to the interview with Nitty, their first manager, um, oh goodness, I can't remember one of the two of the guys, the first man, his son was in Shy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the tall
I
guy,
didn't know that.
Garfield, I think it's Garfield. I think it's Garfield. So one of their first
Okay. One of
manager,
the lead singers.
yeah,
Okay.
one of the lead singers. So the first manager of Shy, of Rift. Yeah, so they all grew up in the same in Jersey and stuff.
Oh, Jersey.
And
Okay.
but the guy, their manager he was a music teacher, so he made sure his kids went to school, so they went to college.
So they know. Yeah.
And so Riff
Mhm.
from high school went into the music industry, and then Shy, a couple of years later went to college, and I
Oh,
think
that's interesting.
yeah, so there's a connection there, but also I think when you think of the two Rift, um, yeah, so Rift, they they had
But the
some
thing is,
success.
I was saying is that Shy though isn't like in your face visually. Like they may be doing shows,
They're doing
but
shows,
like you
but yeah,
still kind of see, members of like we see Ronnie on some reality shows. We still kind of I know Mike was supposed to be doing something with like Apollo. Like you still kind of hear their names and see them as a collective group. They just had a movie, so there's things that's kind of keeping them in the minds of people.
yeah,
And so with Color Me Bad coming out, I mean, well, not Color Me Bad. I'm sorry. I mean, you're just interviewing Brian. They're no longer together.
yeah, because
But that's another thing
he's
too.
left the group, yeah.
Yeah, he's solo now. And I think that another thing that kind of worked in their favor is because they were in the 90s. I think even though there was kind of some separation, I think there was also they represented a hope for the coming together of the races, like a group like that that's multiracial, just like a Spice Girls or
Mm,
All for One. When you look at that, I think a lot of us, it represents a coming together of different people that all share the same vision, all have, no matter what their background, they still have a love for each other and a love for a certain thing and coming together. So to me, that's what Color Me Bad in that time period. It was during a time period where, when they came out, I'm sure there was like the Rodney King thing going. There was a lot of racial things going on in the early
mm,
90s.
yeah.
And that right there was something we needed at that time too, is to see positive images of different cultures and races coming together and being in a group or involved in TV shows. We had several actual bands that actually were multicultural back in like the Party. It was like a lot of different little groups that were
Mm.
together in the early 90s. But that's one element I thought was interesting about it. Well, now that I think about it, that just kind of came to my mind. But
Yeah.
anyway, I can't wait to see this interview. It's exciting. I know he's got some new solo stuff, so I'm curious to see how it sounds.
Yeah.
It's
And I think just in the panic, he did mention that he got called by Andre Harrell to be the new I'll Be Sure.
what really.
Yep. So that's in episode one, which came out this evening. So I did.
That's
So
interesting.
he'll go through, and I think once you listen and watch the first part, and then you watch the subsequent episode, you start to realize why decisions were made and stuff. And
Yeah, it is what it is, and I'm excited to see this interview.
yeah,
I can't wait to hear his story because we have not heard anything about what's happened with the members. I want some clarification on some things that we may have been rumored. We'll see. It's a lot probably to be revealed in this interview. So.
yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think about Color Me Back. Share some memories, some thoughts. Did you catch that Soul Train Awards? Did you see that booing? What did you think that happened? They were sounding good. It wasn't a bad performance. I think it was what it was. But let us know what you thought in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks for watching the show today.
And before we go, remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
Yeah, but also remember to hit the notification button so you can be notified when we have a future show.
That too.
All right.
All right. See you
Thanks,
next time.
guys.